Hello everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm going to be talking to you about the Natural Products Canada, the $4 trillion global bioeconomy, and how Canada can take a piece of this pie. So the world around us is changing, and this creates a $4 trillion opportunity, a market opportunity. Our population is growing. We're going to hit 10 billion people by the year 2025. We see increasing challenges due to climate change. Our industries and governments are adapting to more sustainable chemicals. They're moving away and divesting from more of those legacy toxic products and chemicals. And our supply chains are under pressure from geopolitical events, as you can see what's happening in North America in the next few months, as well as events from climate change. So this has resulted in the supply chains trying to adapt to become more circular, more resilient, and more resourceful. So there's an estimate that by the year 2050, about half of the products will be bio-based. And that creates a tremendous opportunity. So natural products are biologically based solutions that benefit people, animals, and the planet. At NPC, Natural Products Canada, we work with products or technologies that are highly innovative. So these are market disruptors. These products have intellectual property or processes. They leverage or enhance naturally occurring molecules, and they're applicable to large and growing industry verticals. So there are literally thousands of applications, but we broadly categorize them into these 5 buckets. So you got the bioequivalence, green tech and clean tech space, agriculture, animal tech and ag tech, household products and personal care products, packaging, apparel, and biomaterials, and then food, nutrition, and food tech. With such broad applications, you can see how it has created this $4 trillion market opportunity. And Canada is positioned to potentially seize 10% of this bioeconomy, and Natural Products Canada is here to work with these early-stage companies, work with the entrepreneurs, the innovators, to bring these early-stage natural products and bio-based innovations to market. So we are a nonprofit organization with a national focus and a regional presence. So we're a pretty lean team. There's 11 of us in the team. We work across Canada. And we're working on moving resources, expertise from one coast to another. So it's all about coordination, cooperation, and collaboration across the country. We work with early-stage companies. So what's our secret sauce is our capital expertise. So we act like strategic angels, helping de-risk those very early-stage companies. We deploy capital by a few different financial instruments: debt financing, non-dilutive financing, and equity financing. So let's take a look at the capital raising landscape of a typical SME, a small to medium-sized enterprise. So on the y-axis, you have the net income as a function of time. The x-axis is broken into pre-commercial phase and then a commercial phase. So in the pre-commercial phase is when it goes from the ideation or a concept stage to the first minimum viable product. It goes through many stages of iteration. And then when you're ready for commercial launch, you're still going through iteration because you're taking feedback from your early adopters. You may have to go back to the drawing board and reiterate and bring things back to the market. So during this entire phase, there is a need for small companies, early startup companies, for an influx of cash. So if you see the net income goes down, it hits rock bottom, and then it starts increasing. So that's called the valley of death. So NPC plays a role in this very early stage. So we provide non-dilutive capital to early-stage companies. We are really in the pre-seed and seed stage. And then we also have our Nadara Ventures, which is our equity arm, which plays kind of in the late seed to Series A stage. And then once the product is launched and the company is on its way to getting some traction in the market, that's when they become attractive to venture capital. So there's this early phase, which is really hard to get past. So there's a lot of capital needed early on, and that's where we come in. So we got a few different ways by which we disperse this funding, but I won't go into the details. The takeaway is that for early stage companies, we give up to $350,000 to companies that meet all the criteria that we set down. We also provide advice to early stage companies. We make sure that they are on the right commercialization path. They are taking the next best step in their path to market. We look at their business plan, we look at their commercialization plan, we identify gaps and then provide them resources to plug these gaps. So it's all about making the right connections at the right time. We are a community 400 members strong. We have a long list of curated connections, so we are able to provide that to our customers. We really look at ourselves as ecosystem champions. You know the saying, it takes a village. That is very much true. It's not just NPC, but several organizations like us work together in sync to bring an early stage idea all the way to market. So we connect founders with investors, with large corporations and multinationals, with government entities both at the federal and provincial level, and there's a whole lot that goes together with it. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and get into our Game Changers report that we launched fall of this year, I think back in October. It puts the spotlight on 82 of the companies that have received capital from NPC. And I'm going to spend a few minutes just talking about some of them. Anodyne Chemistries plays a role in the green chemical space. So traditionally, commodity organic chemicals are produced from fossil feedstocks in processes that require a lot of energy, high temperature and pressure, so this is very carbon intensive. Anodyne has developed an innovative bioelectrocatalysis platform where they can produce the same organic chemicals in a much more sustainable way. And they use captured CO2 as a feedstock, so that's forming the carbon backbone for these organic chemicals, so it's really a carbon negative process. Biofarm, most of you folks have probably heard of Biofarm. It's a company it's a homegrown UBC company, and it's making bioplastics. There are a lot of bioplastics out there. However, they're often expensive and difficult to produce in large quantities. So Biofarm's technology uses pulp and paper machinery that's been modified and adapted. So they're using the hardware to create bio-based plastic material. Feedstock that goes into that is wood pulp and seaweed. Really to be noted here is that Biofarm has been able to manufacture these bioplastics not only in large quantities, but also at cost parity with low-density polyethylene. And that is a big thing. Opalia is a company based out of Quebec. It's in the cellular agriculture space. It's developed a way to use cells from the mammary glands of cows to produce milk. And milk has all the nutritional and functional properties of traditional milk. They're kind of very early. They're still in microliter quantities, but NPC is helping them scale up their process to get into milliliter quantities. So you can see this is, again, a very risky project, very early stage, but it's got potential. Nature Recombined is in the agtech space. I'm just going to pause there for a second with the top line over there. Of the 100 crops that provide 90% of the world's food, over 70 are pollinated by bees. That is huge. That is eyebrow raising. Because you can see, as we all know, that the bee health has been on the decline for the past decade and a half. This can have huge implications on global food security. So Nature Recombined has developed a natural product extract from plants that is highly efficacious against 3 of the major bee pathogens. So it's overall improving the colony health. Whoops. And lastly, we have New School Foods. It's in the food tech space. So as we all know, there's been a demand from societal demand to move away from animal protein towards more of the alternative forms of protein, alternative proteins such as plant proteins or fungi. The major challenge with these alternative forms of proteins is that they are expensive and they cannot meet the taste and texture of animal protein. Enter New School Foods. They have developed a novel approach that converts plant-based proteins into whole-cut meats, like salmon and ribs. So it actually flakes off just like a piece of salmon would. So in summary, I'm just going to leave you with this impact slide. So to date, NPC has invested $9.1 million in 82 companies. These are very early stage companies. Some of them really just spun off from universities. Typically 5 to 7 employees on an average. These companies have gone on and produced 260 new products. They have generated $282 million in new revenue and have created 407 jobs. And a lot of these jobs are high HQP jobs. So it's also important to note that these companies have now been able to raise another $480 million in capital. So simply put, for every $1 that NPC invested, these companies have raised $53. So it's all about timing of capital. It's not just the capital, it's when it's available to those companies. So if you remember the curve I showed you, when you hit the value of debt, that's where the NPC's value proposition comes in. So while we're really proud of all the work that the team has done to date, there is a lot of work to do. There's $4 trillion out there, and we want Canadians to grab a good piece of that pie. I and the rest of my team, we're always looking to meet with entrepreneurs, innovators, new startup companies. So I've got my information up here. Feel free to send me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can have a chat. Thank you.